Good morning all and welcome to your daily analysis on the 8th of September 2015. So we wanted to share this video on YouTube today just to show how we help our members to be aware of what's going on in the markets. So many of you will have heard me say over and over again, it's no good just trading patterns in the markets because you might as well be gambling on red and black at the casino. What you need to do is be aware of what's moving the markets and why it's moving them. And that's something we cover. So in terms of the analysis, let's start off with what's led up to today. So the US markets are completely dead. Now that's to be expected for three reasons. The first reason, yesterday was the US bank holiday Labor Day. So of course the US markets were closed. Second reason, as you can see, there's little to no high impact data due out for the USA this week, not until mid Thursday afternoon. And more importantly, the third reason is that the Fed blackout policy will start to come into play. What that means is that members of the Fed aren't allowed to speak publicly or to the press about what's going on. And that's ahead of next week's all-important FOMC release and rate statement. So what can we expect this week? Well, the main thing we're going to be looking for this week is on Thursday, and that's the UK Bank of England official bank rate statement. Now, in the last meeting, a couple of things happened. We saw another vote for a hike. So rather than being at 9 against a hike, it's now 8 against and 1 for. And throughout the statement, they did say that it's unlikely that the China situation will affect the Bank of England outlook. So we really want to see if there's any change to that rhetoric. That's going to be a key thing to listen out for, and it could set the sentiment on the pound moving forward into the upcoming weeks. Elsewhere, last week we did have some poor dovish news come from the ECB considering the euro last week. So it was said that inflation isn't on track, and we saw a pretty big drop on the euro. So just listen out, while we've got no tier 1 data, listen out for further commentary from the ECB, so we've got some set tone again for the weeks moving forward. So in terms of today, well, having a look at the overnight news, the only thing that I've really picked up on as being of interest is we had some disappointing Chinese import-export data, which subsequently caused the stocks to fall lower. And with that in mind, there's a risk-adverse sentiment filtered through, especially onto the yen. So as we know, the yen is a good safe haven pair. So if one currency struggles, the yen seems to be the currency people flock to against that struggling currency. Usually when we have poor Chinese news, I look to sell the Aussie dollar. However, that's not the case today, because while oil's fallen overnight with the Chinese weakness, the Australian dollar itself was a little bit stronger following some good NAB business conditions. So with that in mind, I'm going to give the dollar a miss. It's worth taking a look at the New Zealand dollar though, just with bearing in mind the crude futures fell overnight. So being a commodity currency, the New Zealand dollar sometimes sees some decent struggle. However, another thing with the New Zealand dollar, it does sometimes move in tandem with the Aussie. So we'll have a look and just see what the charts are doing. So we're looking at the New Zealand dollar yen. Okay, so as expected, we've got a relatively bearish 4-hour chart. But the 15-minute chart, as you can see, has been moving upwards in tandem with that good Australian data. So there's nothing to trade there at the moment. And in terms of what's coming out later on today, you can see that the news calendar is empty, at least until tomorrow morning when we've got the UK manufacturing production figures and of course the Canadian bank rate statement, and also the same for New Zealand. So it's going to be a dead day, guys. With that in mind, there won't be a New York analysis because, simply put, there's not going to be anything to actually analyse. So therefore, I'll see you guys at the usual time in the live trading room at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and there will also be a New York analysis in the afternoon as well. Have a great day.